What's up, everybody? Hey, just a quick disclaimer quickly is that we got Walter Kim on. I've been following Walter for quite some time. You guys all know I love cars. And I've been following him on his Instagram, and we've been chatting back and forth, and he's kind enough to share his time with us today. We've been trying to work through some audio issues that he's been having. We can't figure out what it is. There's some kind of something going on with his computer. So it's going to be, we're going to go through the stream still, but it's just really quiet. So if you're coming in here and you're like, oh, I can't hear him, we try to figure it out, but we're not sure. The biggest problem is, I think it might just be that it's he uses a PC, and we all know the problem with those. I'm just joking, everybody. So yeah, but so we're gonna go through here. I'll share my screen on Skype so you guys can see it real time. So what I'm showing, so you guys can see. I'm gonna share my screen, and then Walter, when it comes to you just hanging out and drawing and stuff, you can go ahead and share your screen. But usually, what I like to do in the beginning is introduce the artist as a guest, and it might be a little difficult because I can't hear you so well. But Walter, where do you live, and how long have you been doing art?
Hey, so I live in currently in Los Angeles, California right now, and probably been doing art for a long time. I guess I can't even remember. I think I got serious about it when I was in high school. So yeah, that's a long time.
Since high school, then. That's awesome. I mean, I've been drawing since forever too. Is there somebody like in your life or your family that got you into doing art?
No, nobody in my family. That's why my parents kind of trip out. Like, where did you learn this stuff? Yeah. But it's just when I was a kid, I just remember always trying to draw stuff that I was always interested in.
Yeah.
So if I saw a cool, whatever, like let's say a cool spaceship or an airplane or a robot, I would always try to recreate it. And I'd also try to draw like toys my mom would never buy me. So yeah. But I think
go ahead.
I think Akira has played a big influence in my life, obviously. When my friend back in, I think, freshman high school, he showed me this videotape. He's like, hey, check out this tape I got from my friend in Japan. And that just changed everything.
Yeah, I had the same experience too. When I saw it I'm 34 now. I don't know how old you are. So when I saw it, I was pretty impressionable. And so when I first saw it, I was like, whoa, I never had experienced anything like it, especially like the intro scene, with the bike chase and everything. Do you remember how old you were when you first saw Akira?
Oh, man, let me see. I was probably like 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're still impressionable.
Yeah. I saw it on VHS.
Yeah, baby. I remember that. I saw Ghost in the Shell and Akira both on VHS as well. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, me too.
And it left a lasting impact on both of us too. You can see it in your work. That's why when I started seeing you doing the latest, your Akira car renditions, I just like, what the hell? This is so awesome. Kaneda is
thank you.
Crazy. What's the? I'm looking at the one with the gas station. I don't know if you can see what I'm looking at.
I can see it. Yeah.
Is this the which car is this?
This is I just took a Porsche.
Gotcha. Okay, I was gonna say it looks like a Porsche right here only.
Yeah,
just the door.
And then chopped it up, obviously.
Yeah. No, this is great. The thing I love about your art too is that you have a good understanding of how cars work and function, aerodynamics, and then also style. So, because I see oftentimes with people that don't understand how cars are made or manufactured or used, and they get kind of just wonky with it, and it's all over the place. So
right.
With yours, I could still tell that it's not just like you're not just kind of playing with pieces and not knowing what you're doing. So I love that you picked a Porsche. I think that'd probably be the perfect car for Kaneda's bike reimagined is a Porsche too. I'm trying to think of another car that would work because it's round, but then it also has those sharp kind of angular cuts to it too.
Totally. totally. Yeah. I mean,
Classic.
I remember when I was like playing with the idea, because I think this is like my third iteration of it,
Okay.
and I was thinking like, what would be if he drove a car? Like, what car would he drive? And I was kind of going through the database of vehicles, and it just came like, yeah, think of Porsche. Like, I can totally see him driving some crazy modified derelict-esque Porsche,
Like a stolen Porsche, something that, yeah. If you want one
Yeah.
so bad yourself, why don't you steal one yourself or whatever? How he sells that.
Yeah, exactly. Right, right,
That's
right.
all.
And instead of course, I played with the idea like doing a totally sci-fi-esque Porsche, but then I was like, yeah, I kind of thought like, yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be more fun, like imagining him in his timeline, finding like these cars that for them would be obviously considered classics, and then just going crazy, like chopping it up and doing crazy mods.
Yeah, like kind of like the RWB dude, like how he takes,
Exactly.
yeah, and he's modifying them and taking them to the extreme. But yeah, I know I love your sense of style, and I also love the cars that you modify and change and play with too. It just you have a good understanding, I think, of like here's the NSX for example, like how everything cuts together and stuff, and that's always something that kind of struck me as being, oh, this is really cool. Like it's like you're really thinking about not just making something beautiful, but how everything kind of ties together. Like Bateau's car, like how cool that is. If Bateau drove a Porsche, and I remember seeing this, I was like, oh, this is so rad. This is so cool. Yeah,
Thank you, thank you.
I'm a big fan of your work, obviously. The one thing that I've had a hard time with, I'm not sure what application. I imagine you're using Photoshop.
I was using Photoshop for a long time to do the drawing,
Mm-hmm.
but I think about a few months ago, I finally started to use Sketchbook Pro because it made more sense because I draw so much, and people were like saying like you should really give it a try if that's what you like to do. So then once I jumped on that, it was so much easier. Like I could never get the hang of drawing that well in Photoshop. It would take me like I basically had to redraw and redraw until I kind of got the line qualities and the curves just right.
Yeah.
But I still use Photoshop to paint it. I know in Sketchbook Pro you can easily do the same stuff, but I think the masking tools in Photoshop are so powerful that it just makes my workflow go much faster for the painting aspect of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, these days,
Caleb Watt
like,
uses it too, I think. Do you know Caleb's work?
oh yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, and
So
I think
good.
I was curious. I was wondering because both your work has that really clean line style to it that I think Photoshop still just doesn't even it still doesn't get it. Like I've tried to draw cars in Photoshop and I just want to like kill something because you can't get that
Yeah.
that perfect line. Like you can't get that stylized. It removes the imperfection that you get. Like well, I mean, like, so if I draw in Photoshop, like here's like my Lost Boy drawing. It's like really good to draw like organic shapes, but when you try to draw something mechanical, it just like forget about it. It's no good. And that's great to know that because I was like, when I'd see your drawings, I'm like, how the hell is he getting it so clean? Like, how is he? Show me the
Yeah, I
secret,
mean,
So
when I was using Photoshop only, like
Mhm.
if I got frustrated with the line quality, then I just bring out the path tool. I go, you know what, this sweeping curve, like I'm just gonna, use a path tool, stroke it, done. But in Sketchbook Pro, there's so many tools um, for drawing. Um, it's great. Like for a while too, I try to use the Lazy Nezumi plugin for
Yeah.
Photoshop.
yeah,
And even that, I mean, it's better than the default like brush attributions for, I guess, for drawing, let's say.
yeah,
But still, I was like, ah. And so finally, I was like, okay, fine, I'll try Sketchbook Pro. And like anything, you kind of have to overcome like a new tool.
sure.
It still feels foreign. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna spend the whole day just sketching and doodling and trying to get the hang of all the brush properties, set it all up. And once I did, I was like, oh man, this is awesome. So no turning back.
That's great, man. I'm stoked for you. You've officially sold me on using that program now because I'm gonna use it now. Mache was like throwing at like this manga. He's like using Manga Studio Pro, and he's like, use this, And it's so annoying because there's so many applications, and you're just like, dude, I just want to draw. I don't have to learn a new
Totally.
thing again. So That's a
Yeah,
big
totally.
problem I'm sure everybody faces, you know, like damn, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I have some friends that are like extreme. They can draw super well in Photoshop, and I go, man, good for you. Like you
Yeah.
can, great.
Damn you. Damn you.
Yeah, damn you. It takes me like 10 revisions to get it to where I want it.
That's cool though, because it's nice hearing that, because I have the same problem is when I try to draw something mechanical in Photoshop, it's like, why even try, you know? So I think the
Yeah.
blend is going to be using, and I think that's the same thing that Calum uses, is he uses um, Autodesk Sketchbook Pro, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Use
Autodesk, yep.
Autodesk program, yeah. He uses Sketchbook Pro to get his lines down, and then he brings it into Photoshop to do all the color. But I think he uses. I should bring him on here in the show. He's a Calum Watt. He's a really awesome guy.
Oh, he's really, yeah,
I'm sure you've
amazing.
seen his work, right? I imagine you're familiar.
I've seen it, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You know, I
but
think he does have a video, and I think he does a lot of the painting also in Sketchbook
he
Pro.
does. That's right. He used to. I
Like
think he does final grading and stuff in Photoshop, but
right, the final grade, yeah, because he has a video, and I'm sure you've seen the video. It was like he released it a long time ago,
mm,
and it was cool to just see his process. I think he really liked the look of watercolor,
yeah,
and he was mentioning how it's really easy to set that up in Sketchbook Pro. And once he did all the painting, yeah, he brought it into Photoshop, and just like you said, he did the color grading, adjusted the levels, and then done.
yeah. He's also an incredible artist. So like, it's not just the application. It's like an amazing mind and amazing tool
Yes,
combined. You know.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, totally,
I think
totally.
it's the same thing I'm seeing with what your work is too, which is great. So it's cool that you found the program. How long have you been using Sketchbook Pro?
I've been using it for I think about 3 months now.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it's still fairly fresh, but like it seems like you're getting results that you want though, huh?
yeah. If you play with it for a day or two, you'll get a hang of it. And there's a lot of artists that share their brush properties. So like if you wanted a cool like pen type of brush or pencil effect, the the community's great. A lot of them share their settings.
Sick.
So yeah, I just went in there, just found a couple, like okay. And once you kind of find that baseline, then you can go ahead and like adjust it to the way you want it to feel. And once you get that down, then you're good to go.
Sick. Yeah, and this is really cool. No, I'm digging it. I'm looking forward to giving it a try. Yeah, because like I always wanted to draw cars like this too. But then
Uh-huh.
I started to get into 3D, which is the next question I was going to ask you is, um, are you going to get into the 3D part of doing cars and stuff, kind of like what you're seeing with Kaisel? I started doing a lot of it myself. Um, is that a whole
Yeah.
different can of worms that you're not wanting to open up anytime soon?
No, I've opened up the can,
Okay.
and I'm just starting to dive into it because what I'm realizing is that obviously there's a limitation to just drawing them, and I want to see them in every angle. And while I could draw it at every angle, it'd take me forever. Like, but
Yeah.
it'd be really cool, um, yeah, to see it in 3D and seeing Kaisel like current stuff in 3D is just amazing.
Yeah.
That guy's a beast.
He's getting crazy with it, that's for sure. Yeah. Which
Yeah.
is awesome.
So I mean, for a while, of course, I was trying to fight it. I go, you know what? I don't know. Like, I don't know if I want to try to invest time learning another tool, but seeing his work and other people's work, I was like, oh man, like I have to at least give it a try
Sure.
and see if it's gonna work for me or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah.
It's all in your
Yeah.
approach, and what you use. It's there's so many things to it. It's like how do you learn the hard surface modeling, then do you do sub D modeling, and then you need to learn lighting, texturing, and then rendering, so it's not as simple as just drawing, which is drawing itself can be very complex and challenging as well, but there's
Sure.
so many layers to it and levels to it that get really quite complicated, so very quickly too.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. 3D just has its own set of challenges for sure.
yeah, but it's as you can see, it's incredibly worth it because let's say you want to change something really quickly on the fly. It takes a lot of work to get there, but then once you're there, you're like, okay, now I can just like boom, adjust this or make this move, or I can change the color, I can change the skin of it, I can move the lighting, I could change the lens, so it's like you have infinite possibilities to me, which is like the best, so
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
You can't beat that for sure.
no, it's really cool. I guess now, if you want to, what we could do is, I mean, I'm hearing you decent enough. I mean, I apologize again for the audio, guys. But maybe what we could do is pass over the screen to you if you want, and then if you share your screen, then maybe we could just kind of go through, your thought process on how you build one of these images, and maybe show us some of the stuff that you've learned and using the Sketchbook Pro, yeah, Sketchbook Pro, or any of that kind of stuff. Because, yeah.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
So, do you remember how to share your screen on Skype?
Yeah, is it up now?
Yep, can see it. Awesome. So I'm gonna go
Okay,
this.
cool.
You go. Cool. So now we're here. Yeah, this is the P1. Is that what this is?
This
Yeah.
is the P1. Yeah, this is my latest one.
Man, P1, so delicious, dude. Ugh. Have you
know.
seen the video of Chris Harris just ripping it across the track in Dubai?
Oh yeah, yeah, it's so awesome. So
He's all like,
jealous.
he's like practically in tears. He's like screaming. He's so happy.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. Hey, I think we would be too, right?
Oh, I'd be screaming with joy. Yeah, a P1 on with a private track. Yeah,
Oh my God. Have you had a chance to see one in person?
I've never seen one in person. No. Yeah, it
Oh
looks
man,
amazing though. Have you?
it's. I have, yeah, yeah. At Art Center at their annual car show. Um, I think it was Jay Leno. I think he brought his.
Oh man, damn it.
And it's great because they don't rope anything off,
Oh,
so you
that's
can
cool.
get as close as you want without obviously getting in trouble. But if you wanted to get in there and look at all the different forms and how all the different forms come together and blend together, it's wild, man. The thing looks like a spaceship in person.
Yeah, I can only imagine it has a presence of something that's unlike any other car ever made. I've heard that, like, Aaron Beck was telling me that he saw the LaFerrari in the P1, and then
Uh,
the 9, what's the Porsche
918.
compared? 918?
Yeah,
Yeah, and he's just like, yeah, the P1 by far is still just, it speaks on its own completely. It's its own thing. So,
yeah, completely. Yeah, yeah, it totally looks like something. It would be fitting in a Blade Runner movie, no problem. You can just drop that thing in there and have Harrison Ford drive around in it, and it's perfect.
yeah, and and it's a beast. Handles like a beast. Sets track
Handles like a
records like
beast.
none other. So, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Ah, awesome. So this is so the beginning process of this, when you're thinking about it, is, are you gathering references from like Super GT, like Aero and stuff? Do you have like a guide
I
of images in your head that you're using for, like, say, the lower quarter panel and stuff, like all those kind of canards and wind catching devices and stuff? Are you thinking about that in
I,
your design, or how do you start it basically?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm always looking at reference, um, just to kind of sell the believability of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I have all my references, then I'll start sketching out and figuring out how it would make sense for this vehicle. So kind of instead of just saying like, okay, cool, I like this, like for example, if I like this section of it, I wouldn't just go one to one, or maybe it would work one to one from the real vehicle, and then I go, oh, okay, yeah, I think it could work. But in this whole front section, I kind of had to figure out like, okay, well, how would this wide this wide fender kind of work into this panel right here? So yeah, just kind of looking at a lot of references to kind of figure that out. But I kind of do a few sketches, you know, just to get it going.
Sure. Do you
And then
have, so when you first start sketching, do you do your ideations and stuff inside of Photoshop, or? And you mentioned
no, I do.
ArtStation. Did you go to ArtStation for education?
Art Center, yeah,
I mean,
that's
Art
where I
Center. Sorry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep.
Awesome.
I
How
I
was that?
do.
Did you enjoy going to Art Center?
Oh yeah, it was great. It was great. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, like thinking about it now, I don't know if I could do it again because even some days I wonder like, man, how did I make it through? Because it's just assignment after assignment after assignment, and the instructors tell you first semester the time management is going to be the most important thing you're gonna we have to get a handle of.
Yeah.
And it's so true because you know, the next class instructor is not going to care if the previous instructor loaded us up with homework. He's not going to sympathize. He's just going to pack his loads of assignments, and so it's all this managing. But you know,
That's how it is in the real
when you
in
get
the real world, though. So yeah.
totally, totally, it is kind of the real world on steroids, except they tell you that, you know, here at Art Center, if you mess up, it's just a grade, but in the real world, you know, you might lose your job. So,
Yeah.
okay,
No.
point taken.
No, it's good though. It's good. Like we're trying to figure out ways of doing that at Learn Squared too. Is like making it so that it's intense, so that people need to get their stuff done, but at the same time not destroying people. Because there's a thin line, you know, where you can destroy
Totally.
somebody's will if they're not willing and ready to like handle that kind of pressure, you know. So
Yeah, yeah. And Art Center, they do a pretty good job of that. It's pretty, I mean, yeah, the approach is definitely pretty ruthless. I met some people like first semester, and they were like, "Man, I don't think I'm ready." So some people never come back.
yeah,
Um,
it's
and
quite
some
intense.
instructors, yeah, and some instructors, their approach is definitely better than others. Like, you know, kind of like doctors with good bedside manners. And then other instructors, day one, they're gonna tell you like half of you are never gonna make it, and you're like, "Oh, okay, that's really, you know, reassuring. Great."
Yeah. Yeah, they say that just to scare you into action, basically, so that you know you go, okay, well, I better make the best of this, you know, which is key, right? So, which is good, but yeah, and for do you design cars? I know that you're kind of associated with RWB out in Los Angeles. Is that what you do? Is it, working with cars and designing them? Is that what you do for a living, or?
No, this is just totally just a kind of a side thing. My main job is a concept artist. I was
Okay,
working with Activision for a long time, but recently left to kind of pursue the whole freelance thing.
okay.
And
How do you
it was
like
just
that?
so far it's been pretty good. Yeah, it's been pretty cool, and I've been using the kind of free time to kind of develop all this new body of work, which is mainly cars. So yeah, it's easy for people to think like, oh, he must be in the automotive industry. I'm pretty sure Kaizel has the same problem because, you know, I know his main job is not automotive, but if you go to his Instagram or ArtStation, it's pretty easy for anyone to think to, you know, to make the mistake like, oh, he's in the automotive industry.
Yeah, yeah, because that's all I'm seeing, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, just to give you a little background, for a long time I didn't do a lot of personal work. I think I was just too burnt out from like work.
Mm-hmm.
So when I would come home, I wouldn't do any art, and it was sad because I saw a lot of cool work like from you, Kaizel, and a lot of other great artists out there, and I'd be like, all right, when I go home, I'm gonna like do something, but I just blank out. And you know, when I think about it, I think I was just really burnt out, and it sucked. But
It's a
it's
common
like,
thing, though. It's good that you bring that up because it's a real common thing. There's so many people that I know that want to get started on a personal project, but they're just too burnt out um, at the end of the day, or they're not inspired enough to burn that late night oil, I guess, you know. So
yeah, totally. And when I see guys that, you know, that I knew that were doing full time work and they're pumping out paintings and cool art at home, I'm like, man, that guy's really doing it.
yeah,
Um, but because, you know, I'm a creative person, I turned to photography for a long time as a hobby because I
okay,
just didn't want to not do anything. So if people go to my Instagram, a lot of the early stuff is a lot of automotive photography and some random stuff. And then I think it was about a year and a half ago, you know, Kaisel's work uh, showed up and it kind of played a big influence. I was like, man, this guy, he's doing really cool stuff. And you know, for a long time, I kind of toy with the idea, like, oh, is this something? Maybe I can do it. And so I was thinking, like, well, if I do it, how am I gonna do it? Should I do it like him? But I was like, no, I don't want to just mimic his work. That's his work, you know, his style. So
yeah,
I was like, you know what? I love to draw, so let me try to start learning how to draw cars. So I was, for a while, just looking at cars because I loved cars for a long time. So that was not a problem. I was like, okay, let me just check out some cars I like. Let me just start learning how to draw cars. And so that's how it started. That's how I kind of reignited my passion again
it's
for
great.
art, drawing. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so I've been yeah. So it was great. I'm glad I got the fire back.
Me too, because you're inspiring me now, you know, which is great. And I think that's what's really cool about this is we're passing the torch of engagement, of inspiration, you know, because yeah, that's a real common issue that I've seen happen is that for most artists we go off and go, okay, well, I'm done with my education, now I need to go get a job, and then you get a job and you work for somebody, which is great. And if you're lucky, you get to do something with people that are smart and it's something that you enjoy and you feel fulfilled at the end of the day. But if you're not and you want more of it, then you have to go find a way of fulfilling that artistic itch, you know. Because even for me, for example, like I work on really great projects with great people, but it's still at the end of the day, it's not my project, and so I still need to scratch that itch, and that takes, you know, time and work on my own to do it so that I feel fulfilled myself and going through that process. So, and that seems to be a common thing for most people too, I think, is fighting these things, you know, which is great though. And it's cool because I think you've really scratched out a niche for yourself, because your style is it's like a cross between an anime and like a painting almost, and it's right in the blend between the two of them, which I think is really great. And it's obvious that you have a good sense of style and understanding of, like, you know, like even with the EG hatch that you did, that crazy, like, I'm looking at it right now, but the crazy like cutout hatch, EG Honda Civic EG hatch that you did.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, putting the engine behind and the huge Advan racing slicks and like the arrow and like it's just wild and crazy, but it's so fitting, you know. So yeah, and I think like from what I'm seeing is, I think what you're doing is you're just putting out to the universe like, hey, this is what I love, and then eventually as you develop your style and what you like to do, eventually it'll lead to you doing something in the automotive of some kind of capacity, you know. It'll just
totally.
it'll eventually manifest itself as it normally does. Like, you know, like this has been a conversation starter for us to do a live stream together, you know. So yeah, it's a cool hybrid. I really dig it, you know. So
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think the next step, you know, is I love vehicles in general.
Yeah.
So I'm like kind of starting like toying with the idea, like, you know, I love spaceships and, you know, airship type of stuff. So I would like to start to kind of break into doing some of that, to kind of mix up the work. You know, I love mechs. Mechs are cool. Like, so, but I think, you know, the automotive stuff, because I just love cars, was like it's a great, awesome jumping off point, to kind of get that fire back, and then yeah, so it's cool. Like I'm pretty jazzed up.
That's great. Could definitely feel it. So this is awesome. You want to walk us through maybe like, because right now to all of us, as we look at it, we're like, well, this is just magical, you know. And to people that are especially that are possibly just starting out learning how to draw and stuff, they're seeing your finished piece, and it does become a magical experience. Maybe like, how do you start these things? You start off with the rough sketch, and then you bring it into Sketchbook Pro. Is that the approach? Do you build references? Like, what's your process?
Yeah, so here I'll share a reference sheet that I have, and I'm using a software called PureRep. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mache uses it in his classes and stuff. It's great.
It's awesome. So this is kind of like my generic reference gathering sheet.
Cool.
Of just all kind of crazy cars that I like. And so you'll see like Super GT cars, some old Dracar rally cars, LMP, all kinds of random stuff, even stuff like this. I love all this kind of, you know, mechanical design language.
Yeah.
And so I just have this. This is kind of my go-to default sheet. Where it's like, okay, if I start a crazy car, like I can just open this up and just look at a bunch of different type of vehicles, different forms, different rate cars, and then I'll just try to figure out, okay, like what do I want to extrapolate from some of this stuff.
Sure. So you'll take like a wing from one, some arrow from the other, some of the rim tire configurations from another, and then kind of combine it all together.
Totally. So like for the latest one, the P1 piece, I took a lot of reference from the NSX,
Yeah,
Super GT car,
yeah. That thing is
because I
nuts,
thought
dude.
it's crazy. Look at this thing.
It's just
It's
crazy
also
because that's all like, with all that stuff, it's all been programmed, tested, and they run simulations. So all this stuff is all those like lower areas to catch the wind. It's
yeah,
all it all makes sense and works because they can't. And those race classes, they have a limit of power. So
yes,
then they go, okay, well, if we can only have this much power, now how do we control the wind? How do we keep the car cool and how do we keep it grounded? So yeah.
totally, totally. And it's really amazing to see this in person. Like this is from Tokyo Auto Salon from I think it was this year. This year's Tokyo Auto Salon in January,
It's freaking
and
nuts.
it's insane. It's just look at all this.
It's all freaking
Crazy
dry
stuff.
carbon too. Fuck.
Exactly, man.
Yeah,
It's nuts.
it's crazy. That's when you
So I just
have like
love.
an auto manufacturer as big as Honda backing the technology and support it takes to make a car, a race car. Man, look at that thing.
Yeah,
Look at a spaceship.
it's wild. Right?
Yeah,
It's a spaceship.
yeah.
It's like doesn't resemble nothing off the off the line.
What do you think of
It
the,
only
uh,
can
the
resemble.
the the new designed NSX? What do you think of it?
It's I don't know. I kind of keep going back and forth.
Yeah,
Like
same.
there's days like it's cool. No, I don't know. But I think the one you have, that's still the best, man.
Ah,
The
thanks, man.
classic, like that's totally like if I was gonna buy an NSX, if I was a billionaire, I'd still buy the original one. I think the original one's a much cooler car.
You gotta
You
come
know?
up to my house. I'll take you for a drive. There's no other car that feels like this. I've driven a lot of cars too. It's so raw because there's no power steering. The engine's right behind your head.
Awesome.
It's supercharged too, so it's got wow. It's like freaking yeah. You're basically like 4 inches off the ground, like where you sit. So
Uh huh.
it's just everything that you want in a race car. It's got it in spades. It's just awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a mid-engine car, so it must
Yeah.
be really really fun.
Yeah, like we did. I mean, I've done so much to the car since I've had it, but we curb weighted it, and we did a corner balance on it. I love that you're using Pure Reference right, as well. So if you guys are wondering, you just came in here, the way that he was looking through all his imagery, I use Bridge, but you can use this app called Pure Ref. I have it. It's awesome. Again, seeing how you're using it, it's just the same way that Mache uses it. This is how he teaches that he uses it. I love this because you just have a big fat mood board and it's really nicely put together. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm super stoked. People were asking about my car too in the stream. How did I come to find the car? To be honest, when I was first starting to look at building a car, the next build I was going to do was going to be a 240Z, an old school Datsun. And before this is before like the Fast and Furious guy had that Fuguzi thing. So I literally built out that very similar car. I made it. I drew it. I was like, this is the car I'm going to build. I'm going to make the kit and everything's going to be sick. And I just couldn't find a dry one. There was all these rusted ones. And then I think that like the peak, they started selling for way more than I thought they were worth. Because I think people were starting to they wanted to get back into 240Zs. And so I was looking and then Craigslist and I saw this NSX pop up and I was like, oh, wow, this is interesting. And I never thought I would own an NSX. And then I looked at it and I was like, holy crap. So I went out and drove it. And the moment I drove it, I was like, oh, yeah, game over. There's no car that I've ever driven. I've driven some really awesome cars, cars way more expensive than the NSX that I have, price point wise.
Sure.
Numbers and all that stuff doesn't mean anything to me. It's a matter of how that
Me
car
too.
makes you feel. Exactly. You can drive like a 150 horsepower little Porsche in the canyons and feel like a king because that car gives you all those visceral feelings of being alive and opens up the stimulations in your brain. I mean, for the most part, that's all you're doing. You're just dumping, chemicals from your brain all over the place, and it just becomes crazy. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm totally agreeing with you. Agree with you, man. Like numbers don't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
The newest features and whatever, like that stuff means nothing. If you don't feel anything while you're interacting with the car, then it's like, what's the point, right?
Yeah. No, definitely. And and that's to me, that's what it really breaks down to. It's all about what the car gives you and how it makes you feel and what it does for you, and what it you know, is your car like somebody was just posting this guy has a crazy Datsun. Like for me, like that guy's car is really cool, but it's almost a paperweight. It's like a beautiful looking item. For me, like
Right.
I get it, the whole Stans Nation thing, I get it. It's cool. Like it makes cars look beautiful and amazing, but they're completely ruining the function of the car. I like to have a
Absolutely.
good blend between the two where I want to be able to go and take my car anywhere I need to, basically. Well, I still can't take it over big speed bumps because it's quite low. The Al High
Yeah,
Center,
yeah,
and I don't
yeah.
want to do that. But
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
you would have that problem with any supercar, you know. So,
Yeah,
but I
absolutely.
really feel that like I feel blessed that I have an amazing one. It's such a gift, and you know, one thing I constantly say about my car is that I grew up, you know, very humble beginnings, raised by a single mom, and I was told that if I was going to do art, that it was going to be difficult, you know, and that there's the whole starving artist thing. And the moment that I got the keys to my NSX, I realized that I had broken the barrier. You know, I had achieved my dream by doing art, you know, doing things that I love, and it was like a big like boom. Okay, like I figured out how to do it, you know, and it really excited me, you know. So, yeah.
Well, I'm not surprised, man. When I came across your work a while back, I didn't know you as the awesome UI artist that you are, graphic designer. I saw your Ghost in the Shell like prints and your drawing stuff really. So I was like, wow, who's this illustrator guy? This guy's awesome. So I went to your site and I saw that you had your illustrations and your drawings were super badass. And then when I found out you're doing UIs, I was like, what? This guy's on a whole nother level, man. So
Thank you.
yeah, I really appreciate you having me on here, man. I was really surprised when you asked me. I was like, what? He wants me to be on his live stream?
Yeah,
That's
man.
crazy.
Of course, dude. No, man. No, we're honored to have you here, man.
Honored.
This is great. This is cool, man. I mean, at the same time, like, there's only a few of us that do like cars, and we love art as well. You know, like, there's quite a few people I think that love cars, but I think that you're a very rare breed kind of person as well. So, like, the art and the cars and the style, I think that's a very, you know, like, there's like Kaisel, and there's a couple other Kaisel like I don't want to call them wannabes, but that's kind of what I feel that they are. Not to be a dick, I just feel that, you know, they're
Yeah,
literally copying what
yeah,
he's doing. But that's fine because they're just having fun. So, yeah.
totally. But yeah, I'm with you, man. That's why going back to when I was trying to figure out my approach. Yeah, of course I entertained the idea of like doing it the way he does, but that's exactly it, right. I didn't want. I would know it deep down. I'd know not even deep down the surface. You know what? I'm just really copying this guy, and I'm just an imitation of him.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it his way. I appreciate, of course, his style is his style. He's awesome. But I just kind of have to, figure out my own, kind of voice.
Yeah. And I think you
That's
have completely. Have you seen what Mache was doing with the anime? Like, I call it the girl version of Kaneda. She's standing there in the.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
It's
Dude,
cool
so
because when
good.
he was doing that, I was showing him your work, and he was like, "Wow, that's so cool." He was really pumped on it, and so it's cool. Like seeing the hybrids that you guys are building is so rad, and it's rad to see you finding what your voice is. But I keep messing up the flow. You keep going off to try and show the file, so I'll let you go through it so people understand. Because there's been a question. Somebody came in and said, "Any suggestions on how to bridge the gap between drawing your line art and the rendering process?" I've been doing a lot of 3D paint overs, and I'm having difficulty infusing life on top of the entire matte rendered surface. So, yeah, that's a good question. So, okay, great. So here we go.
So these um these drawings, the pink and blue and purple, basically, I did these in Sketchbook Pro.
Okay.
So this is a lot of times how I just start um, the work, the workflow.
Okay.
Is yeah, I'll do a couple just to kind of get familiar with the form language, figure out what direction I want to head, and yeah, since I've done a few of these now, it goes a lot faster. I mean, before when I was kind of starting out, there were a ton of these because it was kind of like, okay, you know how it is. You have the image in your mind, but then when you start to try to put it down on paper, it doesn't look anything like how you imagine it. So it's like, it's kind of, you just have to keep doing a bunch and a bunch, and little by little, like I'm able to get to what I'm imagining in my head
Yeah.
quicker. So basically I'll work off of this, and if I find the one I like, say for instance, it'll all start like this. And then I'll kind of narrow it down, do kind of like a smaller, sort of tighter sketch, and then from there I'll go into this, kind of work it out.
Awesome. You're just lowering the opacity and kind of getting the main cut lines and stuff.
Sure, yeah, yeah. So this is where I'm able to kind of make my mistakes and still kind of play a little bit. It's like
Good.
like
It's really important to be there, right? To be able to play and maneuver it.
Oh yeah, totally, totally. So once your drawing is locked down in terms of the perspective that you've chosen and whatnot, then you kind of that's kind of the fun part, right? It's like, all right, let me figure out the big overall design, and then the next step is like in this phase I can still kind of tweak stuff. I can say, well, okay, maybe I don't like how this area looks or how these things come together. So this is where I have the opportunity to kind of do that. And then from here, then I just basically kind of start tightening the whole thing, and it kind of ends up like this.
Okay, there's a big jump right there.
Hold on, let me see if I can turn.
You're all, then I just touched the ASA button and then bam. Yeah.
Just went boom. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so clean. So we're in Photoshop right now, obviously. You're using like an older version of Photoshop or no?
Yes, I'm using an older version. Yes.
Is it because that's the familiar version, or are you just...
I think, I was one of those guys, like, every new version, like, okay, gotta update. And at some point I was like, yeah, you know what? What's the point? Like, this works for me. It's, hasn't crashed. I can still do what I need to do. And,
Sure.
Yeah, so, yeah.
So the lines here, these lines were like the ones like the wheel arch, basically. Like that, you can't get that inside of Photoshop. So this is line art that you then made inside of Sketchbook Pro?
Yes, in Sketchbook Pro. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So all this line work is made in Sketchbook Pro, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. And then you just brought it over in layers. You can save out is there a way to save out like a PSD or something, or is it like a layered?
It's really, you could set the properties for Sketchbook Pro to save everything out as a PSD file, so you don't have to keep converting it.
Oh, that's cool.
Makes it super simple. The only thing I noticed that Sketchbook Pro cannot figure out is if you do have layer adjustments, and you bring it back, for some reason it will just destroy them all.
Gotcha.
And so I was like, what happened? So if you let's say in Photoshop, if you saved a masking layer of any sort or a mask, and you find out, oh, you know what? I want to go take it back into Sketchbook Pro to do some adjustments. It's gonna wipe all that out.
Okay. So you got to go in stages. So sketching and line art is done inside of Sketchbook Pro, and then you bring everything over to Photoshop.
Yep, exactly.
And then you stay in Photoshop.
I stay in Photoshop, yeah. And I tried to see if I can do everything in Sketchbook Pro. And I'm not saying it's impossible. I've seen great examples of where artists have done awesome paintings in Sketchbook Pro.
Yeah.
But there's just something about the speed in Photoshop in terms of painting. Just, I don't know. For me, I feel like it's irreplaceable for that.
Sure.
It's just so easy. Like
it's native to you, though. So.
Yeah, it's so native. I mean, as you know, it's a really powerful tool because it's originally a photo manipulation tool.
Yeah.
So if you can make any kind of adjustments on the fly, color, temperature, levels, and they have some of that stuff in Sketchbook Pro, but I mean, just the masking function alone in Photoshop, I can't beat it. So
it's really a shame that Photoshop can't get with it and figure out how to make it so that we can draw lines like this. What's the deal, Photoshop? And the layers for the, like, if you have brushes and stuff, the brush manager is such garbage still. It's like, come on, guys, like, figure this out, please. Yeah, even the new one, because you're using a legacy version. This is like, it looks like PS, like...
I think it's like CS5?
Yeah, CS5, that's what it looks like, yeah. Old school, baby, but it works, so whatever. So
yeah, exactly.
Awesome. So yeah, and with the wheels and stuff, do you have like a 3D guide for that, or and another thing I was gonna say that's really good to point out is that your perspective is usually very sharp or very on point. You know, is that something that you've gained from the knowledge you've acquired over at ArtStation, or I mean at Art Center?
Yes, yeah. Because they kind of once you choose to go into the entertainment field at Art Center, then you take like a beginning perspective class and advanced perspective class, and one of the instructors is Scott Robertson.
Oh yeah, Scott's
Unfortunately,
great.
he's like when it comes to perspective, when people ask me like, hey, like how do you do this stuff, and the first thing I tell them, you need to learn perspective. Go to his YouTube channel, buy his books. He's gonna explain everything you need to know about perspective.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like, the uber nerd, right? And then Neville Page, who I took advanced perspective with, he was awesome. He's kind of like the middle ground. Like the first semester, he drills it into you that, you know what, you need to learn how to plot all this stuff. Everything needs to be perfect. And halfway, through the semester, midterm, you know what he tells us? All right, guys, you know what? You don't need to do this stuff. You can use 3D programs. You can take photos of, whatever. He goes, whatever you need to do to speed up the perspective, do it. Because
Yeah.
I just wanted to take you guys through that rigorous, teaching, so you just know the foundation of it, so you know how to set things up.
How it works. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know anything, then you're gonna be lost. So
Yeah.
it was really cool because since he is the middle ground and he's much more practical to his approach,
Yeah.
and we were all like looking at each other, like scratching our heads, like, so you mean for our final we can cheat? He's like, yeah, totally. Like, I don't want you to spend 3 hours, setting up a perspective grid. If you want to do it in 3D and draw on top of that, do it. His only gripe is if you use 3D, he doesn't want to see the 3D blocks underneath the drawing. So, for example, a student, she literally did 3 cubes and put some windows on it, and Neville was like, "Come on, I can tell that's 3 cubes, and all you did was put a window and a door on it. Like, come on, you didn't even try to like be creative with the shape."
Sure. Yeah. Which is a problem. Yeah. I can see that. Teaching art at a high level is very complicated. So, yeah.
Yeah, but I encourage, any artists, that, anything that kind of gets you to the fun stuff. I mean, yeah, if you want to use a 3D kind of underlay to kind of help you just get things going,
That's what I would do.
I think nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, because what
Not
you
at
could
all.
do is you can make wheels yourself inside of Fusion 360 pretty quickly, and then you could just use a toon shader, line up your perspective, set up a block, like a block car, boom, toon shader, boom, then you mask it out, you're done, then you just add a couple lines, then you have wheels, which wheels are often quite complex, and dynamic, but that's a quick cheat. I think it only works for people that understand how perspective works, because if you don't understand how perspective works, that's the one thing that instantly you can tell about an artist, like, oh, they don't know perspective, like they need to learn the perspective of things, it's just difficult, difficult to do that. So
Like here in Sketchbook Pro, like the next thing after seeing all the cool Lamborghini concepts I've been seeing out there, I've been kind of doing my own. And here, the example here, I can do a quick example. Sketchbook Pro has a really cool ellipse tool. So, and it's really robust. So it's really easy just to go in and lay down an ellipse. It's like done,
that's awesome.
And some members of the degree can just keep, you can just offset it a little, repeat it.
Yeah.
Keep going. There you go. You got a wheel.
Yeah. Why doesn't Photoshop do that? Why Photoshop? Yeah, that's
Another
awesome.
really powerful tool is the symmetry tool, which is great for setting up a wheel in the front view. And then what I would do is, like, for example, like, okay, if I wanted a 12-spoke wheel, I can just kind of make this crazy wheel, like that. It's like, okay, that's kind of what it's going to be. And then, you can kind of skew that and just kind of work that in there, and then done. It's like, before in Photoshop, I would try to, like, okay, well, I'll just eyeball the whole thing. And I'll just like, oh yeah, it's like, okay, it's cool, it looks believable, it's working, but with this tool, right, you can just make a million wheel iterations if you wanted to.
Yeah.
It goes up to 16, and if you want it like your generic like 5-spoke wheel, it's right, really easy.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And that's
Really,
kind
really
of all it
powerful.
is too at the end of the day. Yeah, I have to use this. There's a couple, there's one that you can use for like the iPad that does like those you can do like mandalas, like my buddies that do tattoos. She uses it. and she really
Uh-huh.
loves it because she can make crazy mandalas really quickly. She uses it on her iPad too, which is cool.
Yeah, it's really powerful. So yeah, I encourage. Yeah, you should try it, man. You should try it, Ash.
I'm
I
going
think you'll
to.
love it.
I'll tell you what. I'll do a trade with you. I can teach you some what I know about Fusion 360, and then you could start building some CAD-based models on 3D design, and then you can use that. And then if you teach me how to use this program, yeah.
Oh, deal, man. Deal. No problem.
School in
No
exchange, yeah, that'd be great because I think it'd be really cool to see what you'd make in there, and yeah, it'd be rad. I'll have to show you some stuff I've been building. So after the stream,
Yeah.
top secret stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that we're buddies on Skype, and next time I'll have a better mic.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. We'll get you sorted with a good mic next time too. So people,
Awesome.
I appreciate it. Everybody's been really understanding and chill about the mic too. So I know that's
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, you're coming through a little better, so it's okay. That's
Okay.
rad. So you start off. So if we're back in Photoshop, and we'll wrap this up soon. I know you probably got to go soon, but so you have your line work that you eventually kind of go through. And is there a certain type of pen that you use that will allow you to have cleaner lines? Because it looks like there's some that have opacity, and then there's like more that kind of have like a distinguished, kind of a sharper rapidograph, like micron kind of pen.
Yeah. So I kind of have I kind of 3 pens that I kind of go back in, or brushes that I go back and forth in Sketchbook Pro. And this one I kind of set up to give it kind of like a light to dark, depending on the pressure.
Yeah.
So I kind of like to sketch pretty light, and then if I need to go in there and make it a little darker, I can kind of apply a little more pressure and get in there. And then I have kind of like almost like an ink-like brush that, you don't have to really apply a lot of pressure at all and get really nice dark lines.
Nice. Yeah.
And then this one, it just wanted to kind of something solid, right? Like just a marker type thing, just to go in there and just fill in shapes.
Nice.
But yeah, just kind of go between that and some of the default. They have like this Copic kind of marker brush that's kind of cool. Kind of behaves just like a marker. And you can see like they have all the Copic colors.
That's cool.
That can be kind of fun just to kind of fill in.
Ah,
But yeah, I mean,
guess
I
like
really
that.
just really use the 3 brushes.
That's great.
So yeah, I would go in there and just start kind of cleaning it up,
And then adjusting the brush size is the bracket keys, I imagine, too?
Yeah, exactly. It's a bracket
great.
key. Yep.
Sick. So it's native, then it feels natural to Photoshop stuff. And then there's your properties, so there you go. That's great.
Properties. You can go in here and kind of play with it until you get the the feel that you want.
Sure, yeah, the look and the sense of it. Yeah, because like even when I was doing like all the Lost Boy stuff, I was like, man, I really want to draw the bikes and stuff, but I'm like freaking in Photoshop, like, oh, I hate this program. Yeah, I couldn't get those lines that I wanted and stuff, but this is great. It's definitely, I could definitely see the difference between it. It almost has that lazy Nizumi kind of thing though, too, huh? Can you adjust that, like the
It
fall
does,
off
but
or
it
something?
feels way better. Like
Yeah.
way better. Yeah.
It must be the algorithm or something that they're using, the programming.
It's got to be because once I adapted to the software, like I got used to it, then immediately it just started to feel like more like traditional analog tools. So I find myself like if I kind of wanted to hit a curve, it would do it. I'm not saying this is impossible in Photoshop in one go, but for me, sometimes yeah, if I got lucky, like oh cool, like that's a line I'm gonna okay cool, that's done.
Yeah.
Other times I'm like like
Yeah.
Control Z, and
It's frustrating.
frustrating. But yeah, and another cool tool, really quick, that you probably like is these French curves.
Oh,
If
cool.
you just wanted really nice, if you did want a nice clean curve, it's done, right? Easy.
Yeah. That's rad.
Rotate it. And yeah.
Cool.
So, a lot of cool traditional drawing tools that you'd find in the real world in this program. In the ruler, this is awesome. Like, look at that. So easy to use.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah.
I mean, because in Photoshop you have to hold Shift and then you connect the dots, but then one side's soft and one's not. So this is
This one is
yeah.
like, okay,
yeah. Okay. Sold. And it's not a very expensive program, huh?
they have a monthly subscription. I think all those guys are going to like a monthly subscription now. So, but it's cheap. It's
Yeah.
cheap. So I
Yeah.
think it's worth it. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I
I
dig
try
it.
to find an older version where you can purchase, but I couldn't find it. So I just said, screw it. I'll just go with the subscription base. And the cool
Yeah.
thing is, once you subscribe to it, you can use it on any computer, like on the iPad. I think there's a Sketchbook Pro app on there too, so you can use Sketchbook Pro on your iPad and tablet, whatever device. So it's really nice for that.
Yeah. Sick. Digging it. Somebody asked a question. They were saying Walter is doing his stuff based on his huge inspiration wall thing. Have you also made your own designs? Question mark. Things without any reference like arrow or rims.
No, not really. I kind of want to. Like the next project I want to do, which is based on an anime, and in that anime, they all had just made up cars, and I was kind of toying with that idea, like, oh, what kind of cool stuff could I do for that? So that's
Sure.
kind of like the next project. So in that one, yeah, there'll be more made up type cars for sure.
Sick. Yeah. I mean, no matter who you are, you're using reference of some sort. Like you're inspired by
Yeah.
something. Like there's no way like if you have eyes and ears and a nose, like you're using every sense that you ever had since the beginning of creation to make
Yeah.
things. So I think that that's kind of a weird question at the same because you're always using references no matter what you're doing. You're inferring something. Like the other day, I was watching Cowboy Bebop and Spike's. I don't know if you've watched Cowboy Bebop, but Spike's
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it.
it's one of the best, but like
One of
his
the best.
Spike's spaceship is so beautiful and unique and dynamic and just so odd. And I was thinking about, wow, the shape language of this is just so wonky and crazy, but it's like so perfect. And each character has their own kind of that's a good example of something that is authentically unique because there's no spaceship like Spike Spiegel's spaceship, but it does follow in line with it's like a mashup of many different things, like an insect and some sort of like weird, you know, weaponry and like other kind of it does have wings, so it does have inspiration from like a ship, a flying
Total.
aerodynamic ship, so yeah.
Yeah.
How long is
It's
the
like no matter.
process for making your line art for this? Like, if you were to do the line art that you're doing, and it's cool. I can see like you have secondary and like you have your main lead lines, your outlines, the heavy ones, and then you have your second like kind of hit lines for body, like significant lines and stuff. So
It takes me. I could usually just knock it out in a day. Just sit there, listen to music, and just draw it all out in a day, pretty much.
awesome.
Um, like something like this, I consider that's pretty high detail.
Yeah.
So yeah, just once I kind of have that under drawing, the next thing is like, okay, just going and timing stuff up, and yeah, usually, yeah, like a day.
Sick. I'm gonna
Yeah.
get your Canada pieces for my garage too. Got to find a spot on the wall, but I'm gonna get
Oh,
those.
we should trade art, man, because that'd be cool. There's some stuff that you got that I want too.
Yeah, yeah, of course. But no, I mean, I can't wait. I have I don't know if you follow him on Instagram. It's Dirty Knuckles, Bloody Hands or something. I can't remember his. I always mess up his name. I have his posters. He has a bunch of NSXs that I got. And then he actually made one of my car that's in my garage. It's pretty cool. But he's got like an
Sweet.
RWP. He's one of the guys that does those really beautiful vector side profile pieces of
Uh-huh.
cars,
Uh-huh.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I got those in my garage. It's pretty nice. I take those, but I
Yeah.
need to. I'm gonna cover like I have one wall that I'm thinking about just covering with just cars, photography, art, and stuff that just inspired. And just do the whole wall, just cover it up because I just love it so much. So yeah,
Right on. Right on.
and this is sick.
Yeah.
And then from here, I guess you're grabbing selections and then using like selection tools and then gradients and brushing and blurring and blending and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, basically. So it'll start. You see if I can just go through the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. So the completion on this image was probably a bit of time then, huh?
Oh, it took me about a day and a half.
That's
I'm
pretty
just like
fast.
layer obsessive. Some of my friends, 2 layer, they're done. But me, I'm always the type like I'm not always 100% sure. So I'm like, well, I'll just I'll just go. Oh, when it doesn't hurt, I can just start another layer and then just draw on top of that. And then if
Yeah.
I like it, okay, good. But usually I just kind of walk to a solid color, and Well, here I can, start filling in the highlights. But it's like, yeah, sorry, my whole layer organization is such a mess.
No, it's okay. We all have the same. I have the same thing too. I just kind of blast it through. When you're making your layers, are you using the lasso tool to get your selections?
No, at first I'll just use an opaque brush.
Okay, you just brush it in then.
Just fill it in, yeah. Just fill it in, or yeah, sometimes yeah. Just you can easily do that too, right? Just make a selection, fill in the color, because at first I kind of want to block it in with a solid color.
Sure.
To kind of break up all the shapes.
Yeah.
So
that's cool. I like the off black on the bottom too, that like reflective black, so it doesn't just fade into darkness on the bottom. It gives that bounce light effect. That blue that you use on the bottom, that's cool.
Thanks.
Picking up what you're putting down, man.
Well, you're a sophisticated artist, and nothing will get by you yet.
gotta see it. You gotta see it all. Yeah.
That's an important thing. Yeah, observation. I tell when people hit me up, when they want to get into it, I tell them you have to be an observant person. I was at a Kim Jong-il. Do you know him?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's amazing.
He's basically like a printer.
Yeah, he's a 3D printer. Or not 3D printer, he's a 2D printer. Yeah, of imagination.
I was at his workshop and I told him that, and he just laughed. He goes, "Yeah, that's what everyone says. They says I'm like a printer."
Yeah. The world's slowest but fastest printer. Yeah.
Yeah. The guy is incredible.
Yeah, he's a machine. He draws as much as most people watch television, so.
Yeah. And basically, I think everyone in the workshop, they're starting out. So
yeah, of course. And they're just blown away by somebody that spent that much time, doing it.
This guy is an alien,
Yeah.
So it's interesting because, the questions he was getting were like, well, how did you do this? Or how do you know how to do that? Or how did you make that choice? And he just kept coming back to it's just observation. He says, I look at things that I really, really like.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to the reference thing. He goes, yeah, whatever I like. And he's a big motorcycle guy. He owns one. That's kind of his passion, his hobby. And he said, yeah, since I love motorcycles, he also loves cars. He said, yeah, I'll just look at it. And he's an instructor in Korea. And he says, yeah, and a lot of the times the problem he sees in students is he goes, yeah, students, they just don't look enough at things.
Yeah, or they look at ArtStation rather than life,
Yeah.
Or like internet imagery, which I think is a problem,
Totally. And it's easy to get, kind of sucked in that, right?
Sure, we all do. Yeah.
We're all guilty of it. There's an endless amount of cool work on ArtStation and many other sites. Yeah, and it's easy. I've been there too. It's really easy to get sucked in. You see some guy with a cool
killing
robot,
it, right? Super popular, the art jock, just getting all the likes.
Dude, totally. And your natural instinct is like, you know what? I want to do a cool robot.
Sure.
And before you know it, I mean, I think for me that's what happened too. It was like that kind of sucked a little bit of my soul away.
Sure.
But then I realized, man, I'm just getting caught up in these guys' work, and all I'm doing is really just trying to mimic that. It's like, it's weird. It's like a weird ego thing, because I think a lot of us as artists, we have kind of this weird ego. I don't know about you, but
yeah.
I think I do, where there's like this guy inside me, like, you're the best, like everyone else sucks, and you gotta kind of you gotta like hold that guy back, because that guy's crazy.
That part of you is good to have when you're feeling low, but you can only let such a little bit of that in, because then it becomes you become like a egomaniac, and that's just really bad for you and anybody else. So
yeah, it's totally no good. And then so like from my personal experiences, if I see that guy with a kick-ass robot or whatever vehicle, it's like that ego says like, you know what, you should battle that guy. You should do your take on that. And it's like, for what? Like, that's kind of stupid. So
yeah, unless it's like known that it's for fun and you're just having fun, and it's more of like a silly thing. Yeah, but
right. If it's kind of like one of those kind of challenge things, like, okay, we have an open challenge. Who can do the best spaceship or best car? Cool, but I just encourage like students or people starting out, like, don't get trapped in that. You know, like don't compare yourself to other artists, or don't feel like you have to one up that guy now because you know you're listening to that ego or that voice in your in your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it'll just take you to bad places. So
it's true. It's good advice. Yeah, I mean, that if there's something that we could take from what you're telling us is observation's key, and then checking your ego, and then doing something that you love and you're passionate about, you know, because that's really, when we look at Kim's work, like, not your work, but also your work, but like you see the passion of whatever you're interested in, you know. So, yeah.
yeah, there was a really cool guest speaker at Art Center, and the guy did really cool motorcycle illustrations and paintings, like kind of almost fine art, but they all worked. Like when you looked at it, it was like, okay, you could tell this guy knows motorcycles.
Yeah.
And the one piece of advice he gave to us was like, whatever you're into, whether it's the human anatomy, or you're into airplanes, or you're into motorcycles, cars, or whatever, like you need to become an expert at it, because if you show any kind of naiveness in the information, the guy that does know about motorcycles or cars or the human anatomy, that guy's gonna totally see right through you. And
Yeah.
he's not saying you have to make everything perfect mechanical wise. But obviously like cars have, for example, like a car, there's some fundamental, engineering rules, right? That as long as you kind of stick to it and like that the suspension goes here and the wheels go like this, then cool. But if you don't have any knowledge of that, you're just kind of going off your head, it's like sometimes no matter how cool it might look, if it doesn't, if you could tell the knowledge is not there, everything falls apart.
That's what I love about art. You know, it's this one thing. It doesn't matter if you're man, woman, child, old, young, any race, from any part of this world. It doesn't matter. The art is what speaks, you know. And that is, for me, that's the one thing I love the most about it, because if you know what you're doing and you're an expert and you're deeply passionate about what you're doing, it's so evident to anybody, you know. And you don't even have to be a pro at it to go, that person knows how to draw cars, you know. You don't have to be an artist to know if somebody's drawing a car right. You just have to be a human. So it's got all like the best parts of everything in life. I think that's one thing I just absolutely adore. Yeah. The brushes that you're using, it looks like you're using like a soft one, then you use a deep opaque, and then you use like masks, I'm guessing, or you just kind of erase and stuff out. And
no, I just kind of use a round brush.
Okay.
And yeah, just adjust the opacity or the hardness or the softness, and
sure,
work it like that. Because I mean, I think if you have a relatively relatively really good drawing, and the drawing itself is working, then really, if you just kind of tone it, it almost looks like, oh cool, like you can kind of see the form.
Sure.
Because what happened, like I'm the type that, like I love when I see people who can do these nice loose sketches and loose paintings, and it's like, oh my god, it looks great. And every time I go, yeah, okay, I want to keep things more loose. That's just not my personality. Like
sure.
I start honing in. I go, oh man, I gotta make that tighter. So, when I was first doing these, man, my paintings would be really tight. Like I would try to go not photo real, but really really tight rendering.
Yeah.
But then I was like, man, this is not fun because it's taking me forever.
Yeah. World's slowest painter. Yeah. Or world's slowest printer. Yeah.
Yeah. But I knew that I love drawing, so I was like, man, you know what? If I just spend some time doing some nice drawings and I kind of paint them up, like it doesn't have to take me forever. I think it'll work. So,
sure, definitely. Yeah. I love that. That's one thing I love about this too, is that almost every artist that I know that makes really significant art pretty much uses like 4 brushes. And that's it. And most of the time it's just 2 brushes, you know.
Yeah.
It's always that case too. Like, you have all these like, gimmicky tricks and stuff. For the most part, most people just use, that I know of, they just use, some artists I know use a lot, and they have a whole thing going on with that. But for the most part, it's about those simple tools that you're just used right, which is still quite unique, which I love. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I was one of those guys. I was guilty of that too, trying to use like 40 brushes.
Yeah, you're like, this brush is going to be the magical brush. And that's one question I always get, like, hey, I asked what brush do you use? I'm like, fuck, man. Like, it doesn't matter about the brush. It's a matter of the years of observing and knowledge and understanding of what it is that you're doing, you know, which is the trick, you know. That I think a lot of people miss, which is fine. It's just a part of it that, you know, goes unnoticed. So now you're filling in the shapes with your opaque brush and you're going in. Is there a particular reason why you start to work on certain things? Do you sharpen up the wheels first? It looks like you're doing like some highlights with like a soft brush to kind of get those like hue transfer contrast of values kind of shifting over the forms.
You know, I just kind of, once I kind of have like an opaque painting, the next thing I'll do is I'll kind of start figuring out where the shadows will lie in the bigger shapes. And once I just feel like, okay, I think, you know, the painting is kind of gaining some momentum, I just kind of jump all over the place. The one thing I do try to do is I try to remember to stick to the bigger shapes. Like, okay, let me work the overall big shape out, get that going, and once I know that's working, then really I don't really have like a set kind of guideline or rule. I'll just kind of, whatever I feel like, you know, during the painting process, if I feel like, okay, I think I need to kind of get into the wheels to kind of offset some other things, you know, I might do that, or maybe I go, oh, I might need to do like this arrow piece, or, you know, but yeah, I don't kind of have like a hardened rule of like how I paint.
Just find something that you like and work on it then.
Yeah, I just kind of stick to the kind of the foundations of kind of the painting stuff I learned in school.
Sure.
And yeah, just stuck to that. I mean, they always told us, and as you know too, just make sure the big shapes are working, because it's easy to kind of like hone in. Like, let's say if I just went in here, right, in the headlights, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna really work the shit out of the headlights. And then I zoom out, and then everything else is like shitty. It's like, well, fuck, I spent like 10 hours on this headlight, and nothing else is working. So in painting classes, they always told us, like, if the big shapes are not working, then nothing's gonna work. Like, forget it. It's like, you know, polishing a turd. No matter
polishing a turd, exactly. I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
Still poo.
Yeah.
That would be the one. Those are the basic rules I stick to. Well, I guess basic, but the rules I stick to is like, make sure I kind of have the underlying overall shape and value kind of going. Because, you know, once I have it going, you know, in Photoshop, very easy to adjust the values. So I don't get hung up in trying to hit the perfect, like, I need to hit the perfect value and the perfect highlight temperature or whatever. Just, you know, just get it going. And then once I get it going, it's like, okay, cool. Then I feel like it's gaining some good momentum. Then I can keep, you know, working to the next piece until it's done.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, and I like how you're using, I think the really good thing about the way I see your work progressing is you're using hard edge and soft edge, and you're blurring them together so that the eye has a constant place to dart around, from the hard edge of the line art to the soft fill of the body values and stuff, which I think is really key. So you're using all like the main ingredients. Like a great soup has usually just a couple key ingredients, and then it's just altered, you know, add a little spice here, a little thing, but it's the same thing with anything we consume. I think there's a universal law that works throughout, which I think is quite important.
Yeah.
To remember and keep in mind. If your art is suffering, it's mostly due to the fact that you're using the ingredients in the wrong order, or you're not using the right ingredients combined, or you're like focusing on, like, let's say you're making like a carrot stew and all you're focusing on is the carrots, but you're forgetting about the other parts of it, like the chicken stock or whatever, the celery or whatever, but you're just focusing on that one thing. You're only going to have the taste of a carrot rather than the entire ensemble, you know. So I usually like to relate things to food, because we are professionals at food usually, first and foremost, because that's what we do every day, at least 3 times a day. So
yeah. If one thing is off in the food, you know, even you don't have to be a chef or a cook to know that it's like something is off. Like, you immediately know. It's like, oh, this tastes weird, or it doesn't taste very good.
Yeah, Kaisel's here. He's asking if you're going to start getting into 3D. I'm Kaisel. I'm going to teach him how to use Fusion, so he's going to come and attack us. This is going to be great. It's going to be awesome. We got to all do like a car bro stream. We got to get your mic sorted out. We'll do like a like just a car mania stream. We'll all just hang out and
Yeah,
be
yeah, that'd
nerdy
be
car
great, man.
guys.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Yeah, we got to get the guys to get together. Yep, yep.
Yeah, and Kaislo, you can join us too for sure. He's like, let me join. He's in the chat right now. So, yeah,
Cool.
but of
Hey, what's
course,
up, man?
he's spying on us. So, yeah, yeah, this is great. No, it's again, as I was mentioning, Kaisel, like there's only so many of us that are really into art and really into cars. So, and Kaisel just got his dream car too, which is great. He just got
Yeah,
his
congrats.
awesome RX-7, so it's beautiful. So, yeah, thumbs up, dude.
You gotta be super stoked about that.
Yeah, I mean, come on, you if you do art and then you buy something that you love or you acquire something that's a big dream, then there's really very few feelings that are better than that. It's just that sense of accomplishment is unlike anything else. So, yeah.
Yeah, because it sucks. Because yeah, like a lot of guys that don't do what we do, art-wise, they doubt us, right? They go, "How do you guys make a living?" You know, like, "Oh, you're drawing spaceships? Like people pay for that?" And, you know, like they don't get it.
Yeah.
So it is great, man. It's great. Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
I have a couple quick questions, and
Sure.
we can go on forever, but I gotta jump off in a couple minutes here. But a couple quick questions I don't want us to forget. How do you know where your perspective lines on cars are when your vanishing point is like feet away from the screen? I don't know if that makes sense, but I guess if you're trying to figure out where your vanishing points are and how do you distinguish where to set them, basically, because I noticed with your stuff you use quite a wide lens, like the stuff kind of has a slight distortion to it, so it all encompasses into the image itself. But how do you set yours?
Well, in the when I do the rough sketch, that's where I kind of think about like the kind of the focal length I want to kind of go for. And once I have that, then in Sketchbook Pro, I'll just kind of build a simple perspective grid.
Okay.
And
Is it easy to set up a perspective grid using that program? Does it have like a layover kind of thing, or?
it's super easy. There's a 1 point, 2 point, 3 point fisheye.
Boom.
Yeah.
There you go.
If you want to spend a whole entire day making a grid, you can knock yourself out.
No,
And,
screw that.
Yeah.
Don't do that, people. Do it once
Don't
to
do that.
understand it, and then never do it again.
Yeah, totally. Because I mean, like Neville said, if it looks believable, if when you show your work to the art director or a client, and they, even though you know that there might be a slight wonkiness to the perspective, but it looks believable. He said, good enough. You've done your job. Yeah. Because I mean, if someone went in here and wanted to scrutinize the perspective, yeah, easy. They'll probably find some stuff that is wonky, but you know. I just make sure the big, like again, going back to the big shape. If the big shape is all working together, if you commit it to like a 2-point perspective system, and you know all the lines that are all perpendicular going to that vanishing point, as long as you commit and you don't deviate, it's gonna look good. It's gonna look good. Nothing will look wonky. But it takes a lot of practice, and again, it goes back to putting in all the work in the beginning to do that, you know.
Sure.
'Cause yeah, I get that question a lot. Like, how do you do your drawings? Like, what should I start to learn? Where do I start?
Sure.
I tell them, just start drawing. Like, you know, really start drawing a lot. Number one.
And then they just keep drawing, but they suck, because it's just like, like anybody, that's like we all suck when we first start, So.
Yeah, everybody. It's like he said. Everybody thinks there's this magic brush or a magic software that make the art. One button and boom, it's done. But no, it's not like that. Not like that at all. It just takes a lot of work. There's a lot of hours that we put into this stuff to get to where we're at. And it's always a constant journey. Even when you feel like you're getting good, you feel like, oh yeah, I'm getting pretty good at this. Then then it's like, oh, maybe I'm not that good, and then you still got a long ways to go. So.
Yeah, well, we always do, right? Art is never like it's never done.
Satisfied.
Nobody's the master of it, So
yeah. Never done. Like if I wanted to go back and noodle the shit out of this P1, yeah, I can probably go back and put another 40 hours into it and make it crazy. But it's like, forget it. Let's move on to the next thing,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. This has been great. Let's make sure that is there anything that you wanted to make sure we covered or talked about, and if you'd like to come back, of course, you're always welcome. And like Kaisel's
Oh,
here, like we gotta do one with Kaisel. It'd be fun. We'll do like a three-way car extraordinaire
yeah.
jammer thing. That'd be fun. We gotta get your
Dude,
mic set up next time, so we'll get you sorted with that and figure out what the
I'll,
problem is. I
I'll
bet
get
you
that
if you
put.
just restart your PC and boom, it's like perfect again. There might be a way for us to call you on your phone and use your phone to do the audio and then your screen to do the computer. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to figure that out next time. But,
But yeah, I definitely love to come back, and yeah, but for sure, by then I will definitely have a better. I will have a better mic.
we'll get you sorted out somehow, one way or the other. But yeah, it'd be really great because, yeah, it'd be great to see what you got going on, and then also just talk about, the things that we're interested in. I think the key lesson that I'm learning from you, and I think that everybody else should be on, like, some of the main core art, essential art things, is that it's important for you to follow whatever it is that you're interested in. And like Walter was mentioning, like he does concept art as a freelancer for a living, but his passion is automotive. And it's not that he's like, I don't know, I could be wrong, but it's not like you're a master mechanic, so you can't just go out and like work on cars, but you can contribute to the automotive community by like creating these kind of creations, which I think is its own value all in itself, and I think that's really the key and the trick here. And I think if you're watching this and you're inspired by this, I think you should definitely, pursue what it is that you're inspired by and fulfill that by just giving all your time, as much as you can afford, give it to whatever it is that you're creating, because that's really the key, So, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. You just gotta do it. I mean, people think I've been drawing cars forever, but really, I've been drawing cars seriously for like a little over a year and a half,
There you
maybe
go.
close to 2 now. So when I started out, I'm gonna have to put in the work. I gotta just learn how to draw cars. Every day I was like sketching cars. And that's all I was doing until I felt like, okay, I think I'm ready. I can kind of start to post stuff. But my early stuff, next time I'll show you some earlier stuff.
Great.
You can see, oh, this is where I started and this is where I ended up.
Seeing the progression, I think, would be really great. So, yeah, I mean, people love to see that as well, because a lot of times we're all starting from a place that we're not really comfortable with and not wanting to show that because we're all vulnerable. But we eventually get to that place where we feel better, and we're making work that has, it's never ending, it's never ending. Yeah,
Never.
because this is the beginning of it, and then wait until you start to get into 3D, and then that's a whole talk about a learning curve that's going to take you another couple years to really get figured out. And then once you get that, then it's a matter of like, okay, now I'm making really cool images, they're pretty, but then how do they even function? And then you got to figure out how to, like, engineering part of it, and then you got to think about, on top of all that stuff, is like, how can I make a living off of this, so but I absolutely adore, these are just beautiful, these images are amazing, I love them. I love the thought process behind the engineering and how you noodled everything together, and like the twin turbo, and like the cooling setup on the top, and the blow off valves, and like the tones on the burn parts of the chromoly on the exhaust and all that kind of stuff. I just love all that stuff. So, yeah, your attention to detail and understanding cars, I think, is really the key here. So, yeah.
It's always going back to that, right? Just understanding what you're doing. Because there's guys who do really cool, even when it is a sci-fi spaceship. Certain designers, even if it's like 40 years out, there's something believable about it. You believe, like, what? It looks like it can be manufactured.
Yeah, you're fading away. Sorry, your mic is getting quieter. Sorry.
Yeah. Some of my favorite designers, they do that really well. Like going back to that Cowboy Bebop ship. Sure, it's something fantasy, sci-fi, but there's some aspects of it where it looks believable. Like, maybe it could be manufactured like 20 years down the line,
Yep.
Versus like a person only from the top of their head. And maybe there's like a savant that, like, I never look at references and everything's a masterpiece and all my designs are
That's
like
very rare.
But that's super rare. Like,
Yeah.
all the best guys in the industry, when I talk to them, they have tons of references, and when you kind of dig through their mind, yeah, they find that there's something they like. You know, like,
Yeah.
oh, I really love robotics. So I'm like I look at robotics stuff all day. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. No wonder your robots look so believable, you know, because you
Yeah.
have kind of this understanding of how they work or how they might be working. So
No,
yeah,
absolutely. That's the key thing, I think. So, yeah,
yeah,
man.
cool.
Dude, thank you so much. I appreciate
No,
it.
thank you.
You're,
Thank you, man. It was great.
I love how humble you are and how willing you are to share things. And thanks for doing that. And I think you understand the secret to this stuff. That's how you grow. So, yeah, we'll do this again. Thank you, everybody, for being
Absolutely.
here. Thanks for all your awesome questions. Looking forward to doing another one down the road whenever you're ready. And yeah, everybody, you guys have a great day, and go make something amazing. And we'll see you guys on the next stream. Peace out,
Cool.
everybody.
Later.
Later.